Japan seemed like the safest place in the world. Living in America, living in the United Kingdom, living here in Sapporo as a black person, this is the safest that I've ever felt in my life.
Welcome to the Melanated Files. In this series, we highlight and share the stories of black people from across the globe. Remember to subscribe to this channel for weekly videos and also follow us on social media for regular updates. Let's get into the interview.
My name is Lenny. I'm from America, but I came here through London. So I was actually in London for the last 3 years. Great question. One, I like traveling, and I've been fortunate. I've traveled America, obviously, Central America, Europe, been to Africa, never been to Asia, and wanted the chance to continue to travel and try something different. Japan seemed like the safest place in the world, and a good place to land and also still be able to travel around Asia and then come back to Japan. So yeah, it's safe, wanted to travel. My profession is teaching, and my long-term goal is to have my own school. And so I have experience managing schools, but I've never taught. And I figured Japan would be a nice place to come get some experience teaching, less hoops that I had to jump through if I were to go back to the States or stay in the UK to try and get a teaching profession started. So yeah, mainly that's why. Because it's cold? No, when I researched Japan, I got this feeling that there was a distinction or a difference between Sapporo, Hokkaido, and the rest of Japan. A bit more liberal, I suppose, or maybe less traditional. And so that appealed to me. The fact that it was in the north. I come from the north in the States. So yeah, the cold, the snow, that attracted me. So yeah, that's why. So my ambitions for life in Japan, I guess to be honest with you, my plan when I came to Japan or before coming to Japan was to be here a year or two to get that experience teaching, but to then return back to the States or the United Kingdom and open up a school. Immediately I fell in love with Sapporo. I love the city, I love the people, the climate, the food, the energy, just the spirit that's here in Sapporo. I really feel, and it feels comfortable to me. And so I think my plans have shifted a bit. And I think now my long-term plan is to maybe try and open up a school here in Sapporo. I'm still trying to figure out some of the details, whether I want it to be like more geared for children or adults, or maybe the combination of the two. But I think now my mind has kind of shifted to staying here long-term and opening up a school here in Sapporo. It's peaceful. And I guess with that, there are some things that like I feel comfortable. I feel safe. It feels peaceful to me. In my spirit, this has been the most comfortable, peaceful, happiest that I've been in. I've told my friends and family in my entire life. So yeah, I think just the peace that I find being here in Japan. What do I like the least about Japan so far? I guess I would have to say some of the daily struggles that I guess any foreigner has to deal with, but particularly being a black foreigner. So like for instance, I have long hair. I'm not a fan of my long hair, and I'd like to cut my hair. But finding a barber here in Sapporo is a challenge. So those little kind of challenges, I think I find the least entertaining or least fun. rice curry or curry rice. Love that stuff. Man, I love that. Curry rice, gyozas, but I don't know if gyozas are Japanese or Chinese. Yeah.
Chinese, yeah.
Curry rice and udon. That's a good question. I've received a lot of good advice. I think the first thing that pops into my head or what keeps coming to me is what my mother would say to me every day when I was a kid, and still says it to me. Don't ever let them steal your joy. And I think that for me is kind of a model that I live my life by. Life is gonna be life. You're gonna have your ups, you're gonna have your downs, you're gonna run into some interesting, difficult people and interesting, difficult situations. But find the joy in life, and don't let your situation, your circumstances steal your joy. Be happy. My experience. To be honest, as a black person, here in Sapporo, it's been pretty good. Like I said, this is the safest I've ever felt. Living in America, living in the United Kingdom, living here in Sapporo as a black person, this is the safest that I've ever felt in my life. There are some moments where it can be a bit interesting. I don't want to say frustrating. Like you'll get the stares. But I've come to believe that I don't think that that's done in any malicious way. I think that's just some genuine curiosity. I think this face, this complexion is not very common around here, so that's a genuine curiosity. I read a article by a black man here in Tokyo not too long ago, and he talked about his experience sitting on trains and subways and the empty seat that's next to him on the train and the subway. And yes, there are those moments, but by and large, I found that people seem really respectful, receptive, welcoming. So yeah, I think for me, my experience here as a black person, specifically as a black person, has been pretty positive. I think positive, I guess, would be my first response. That's a tough question. I think that there's very little experience or knowledge of black people, black culture, the black experience. So I think the general attitude towards black people is curious, respectful, cautious, but I think overall respectful, at least in my experience. It's been the attitude that I've felt from the people here in Sapporo has been very respectful. The most significant way Japan differs from my home country is that it differs in every way imaginable. I guess I go back to the peace. I think for me as a black person, I've always grown up hearing the notion you have to put on your armor and armor up before you leave the house and you enter out into the world. And while I think that there's still that reality that as a black individual, wherever you are, there's a certain armor that you have to still wear, I find living here, I don't feel I need to be armored up. And when I walk out the house, I have to be ready to go and just ready at all times. I think that for me is the most significant difference, is that just that peace of mind that I have and that ability to not have to prepare myself and armor up before I leave the house. The funniest thing that has happened to me as a black person, I guess it would be my hair. People think my hair is fake, or it's extensions, or they find, because my hair is incredibly curly, black hair is curly, they find that interesting or almost difficult to believe that this is my natural real hair. I don't do anything to it. I wash it and let it air dry, and that's it. And so the curliness, I think, and the fact that that seems to perplex people in such a way, I think is probably the funniest experience that I've had in the comments that I've gotten because of my hair. The way we see each other as people. I think there's a lot of me and you and not enough us. I think if we saw each other in each other more, if that makes sense, I think we would be living in a much different world. I think that would be the main thing I would change, is how we see each other, and how we respect each other and treat each other, talk to each other, regard each other. That'd be the main thing that I'd change, probably. Ooh, that's because, see, it's a lot of people I want to sit down and chop it up with. Malcolm X. Yeah, that's a tough one, though. It's a toss-up, I guess, between Malcolm X, James Baldwin, Obama, the homie Bob Marley. Yeah, I'd love to sit down with any of them and just have a drink, just talk life, just get some wisdom and knowledge from their minds and how they view the world, and just to hear them talk. I think for me, just to hear. It don't matter what we talk about, just to hear what they say and how they say it, and just the energy that I think they carry, or I presume carry with themselves. So yeah, that's a tough one to narrow down to just one. Proudest accomplishment? Oh, that's a tough one to narrow down to one too. I guess I would have to say getting my master's degree. It's a toss-up between that and coming here to Japan. I think that takes a lot of courage and just fortitude to come here, and confidence in yourself. But I think, getting my master's degree was probably my biggest, most proud moment. Wasn't easy, and definitely was not in the cards as I was coming up. It kind of was a spur of the moment. No, I want my master's. Here's why I want my master's. And I had a very specific plan, goal, and to fulfill that plan, that goal, and to get my master's. For me, that I felt a great amount of pride in that one. One biggest lesson that I've learned in life: trust myself. We were talking about it earlier, about how you'll have naysayers, or people that'll say no, people that'll say you can't do this, or people that'll say that's a bad idea, don't even try. Trusting in yourself. I think that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned in life, whether it was from small incidences, big incidences, just that trust yourself, and trust that somehow, some way, if you trust in yourself, it'll work itself out in the end. First memory that comes to mind, like in my life.
Yes.
See, my mother gets mad at me when we talk about that. So I've had some concussions. I played football, and so I've had some head traumas, and I've forgotten a lot of my early childhood memories that my mother is not happy about. I invested all that money and did this so that way you can have a good childhood, and you don't even remember half. I was like, sorry, mama. But I guess the earliest memory that I can go back to is when my grandmother passed away, or when she was passing away. And I was 4 or 5 years old. And I remember sitting by her hospital bed. And I think it was actually the last time that I saw my grandmother. And she gave me 2 gifts. She gave me 2 gifts. She gave me a, sorry, my fault, man. I didn't expect to start crying on your interview. My fault, man. She gave me a radio, a boombox radio that I don't have anymore. But she also gave me a teddy bear, Chuck. And Chuck has been with me for 30 plus years now. Sleeps in the bed with me. Yeah, I think that's probably the earliest memory that I can go back to, is when my grandmother was passing. Have fun. Have fun. I coach sports, and one of the things that I would consistently say to players is it's a game. I think football mimics life in a lot of ways. And I apologize in advance for swearing on your camera, but I would always tell them, show your ass, have fun, show out, ball. I think that would be the main thing, is that have fun. We get one chance on this rock in this manifestation. Ball out, have fun. I think one of the things that Japan does really well that I think the world can learn from it is their passion, their dedication, their attention to detail to their craft, and whatever that craft might be. They take their craft very seriously from what it seems like to me. And they take a lot of pride in their craft. And I think that that's something that I have a lot of respect for, and I think that that is something that the rest of the world could do more of, is to take genuine pride in the work that you do and the craft that you call yours. My favorite place to visit in Japan, Hokkaido Shrine. Here in Sapporo, there's the Hokkaido Shrine. It's a beautiful shrine, but also just that ground. There's, for me, something very sacred, very spiritual about Hokkaido Shrine. And yeah, every time that I've gone there, I've definitely felt that sacredness or that spirituality. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Hokkaido Shrine. Come, wholeheartedly come. Trust that it's a good place. I think, for me anyways, it has been a good place, especially as a black person. And I think it's important that there's more exposure, or we, I don't know if I want to use the word expose, but we show the world, I guess, in some ways, who we are. I think, yeah, my biggest advice is, come. I don't know if that's really advice, but yeah, make that trip. Come show the world, this is black people. We smooth, we different, and we not necessarily the narrative that I think a lot of media, Western media, tries to portray. Come show who he is. Biggest misconception about Japan. I'm not really sure what all the conceptions were prior to me coming of Japan. I guess maybe one of my biggest misconceptions about Japan and the people of Japan, I perceived or pre-perceived Japanese people as very, and this, I don't mean for this to sound offensive or any kind of way, but my perception was they were very sterile, very rigid, just very inflexible or impersonable people. And that probably sounds rather harsh and offensive, and I don't mean for it to be, because I've come to find they're very personable. They're very flexible in how they think, how they carry themselves, at least the experiences that I've had. Humble people, friendly people, again, approachable, personable people. So yeah, I guess that would be my biggest misconception that I had. The biggest risk that I've taken, moving to London to go to school, I guess. Moving to a foreign country for the first time to go to school.
How did that pan out? Like, after making that decision, did you feel like it was the right one?
Yeah, most definitely the right decision. Most definitely the right decision.
So we should take more risk then?
I agree, yes. We should take more risk. Yeah.
All right, and finally, where can people find you online?
Facebook, I guess, is maybe the best place. I'm not a very astute social media person. The only thing I have is Facebook. So yeah, Facebook. Lenny Carter.
Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to share your story or have us visit your region, send us a message on any of our social media platforms or via our website.
That's good.